Now, before I get into the video, I just want to say that everything I say is coming from my perspective and are my opinions, so not everyone is going to like what I have to say. And that's okay. I just hope that everyone can be respectful and understanding to everyone else's views. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Also, I just want to mention that there will be spoilers in this video as well. Okay, so at long last, The Legend of Korra is officially able to stream on Netflix US. I'm extremely happy because of this, but there are people out there who are gonna just watch it and just frankly rip it to shreds. Various things I've heard people say about this show are things like, what is this trash? Korra is the worst avatar. Why did they make Korra when they could have just had an adult version of the gang? Listen, a continuation of Avatar: The Last Airbender would have been awesome. And I definitely recommend you should go check out the comics because they're freaking amazing and I love them so much. But they told the story that they wanted to tell with a beautiful beginning, book 1, middle, book 2. Also, book 2 is no doubt the best season of Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's just a fact, no opinion at that point. I'm just kidding, it's just my opinion. And an ending, book 3. They wanted to do another project and thus came The Legend of Korra. But it wouldn't have been as easy as they thought. Before I get into what I really want to say into the video, I just want to state that I will be dividing this video into 3 parts. The first part will be the production, the second part will be the story and the characters, and the last part will be an analysis on Korra. In an interview, animation director Yoo Myung revealed that Nickelodeon was hesitant of the series because Korra was a female protagonist, which means that the production of the series was suspended because Korra was a girl, which I can't believe that in 2010 they still had to face issues like that. But at the same time, I'm kind of confused because Totally Spies was around that time, and you know, the Winx Club, and I just really don't understand. Wow. However, due to the creators and the animation studio's persistence, the executives at Nick eventually changed their minds. 12 episodes for the show were ordered with the intention of it being a mini-series. It was due to premiere in October 2011, but it was delayed until April 2012. During the production of the mini-series in 2011, when the first book was supposed to premiere, Nickelodeon decided to order 14 more episodes, which resulted in what we know as Book 2. The fact that the creators didn't know that they would have another book until deep into Book 1's development says a lot. I mean, it makes sense. If it was a mini-series, that would explain why they did things the way they did. And what I'm referring to is the last episode of Book 1, when Korra gains back her bending abilities. I will agree that it did seem a little too easy at first, and I have seen people say that there was a missed opportunity when she could have just traveled to relearn her other elements. And I do disagree to that fact because, while not the same exact situation, that would be the same as what Aang did. And why would we just want a rehash of that? I mean, I don't know. She did get her bending restored by Aang though, so I guess his journey was kind of like transferred through her of some sorts. Like, I may be reaching a little. But seriously speaking, what other choice did they have? She had her bending removed in the finale, she had to get it back somehow. This might have been it for the series. And what better way could they have done it? Her reaching her lowest point, she doesn't have her elements anymore, she's no longer the master of all the elements. So she can't fulfill her role as the Avatar. A role that she has always wanted to fulfill, and it is so evident in the very first scene of the show. So when that role, which mended into her identity as a person, was stripped from her, she is so broken to the point where she considers suicide. And yes, I strongly believe that this is the case because of the sorrowful music that plays when her teardrop is falling. and also how the shot pans down and how the scene is shown from Korra's point of view. So what better way to end the series potentially than have the past avatar, Aang in this case, as well as the other avatars appear and restore her bending. I see my girl Kyoshi, I love you forever. Also everyone go get the Warriors of Kyoshi or Rise of Kyoshi books. I'm so sorry I butchered that name just now. The Rise of Kyoshi books, they are so good and gives more backstory into Avatar Kyoshi, but back on point. She gets her bending restored by Avatar Aang, and she enters the Avatar state for the first time. I mean, I really do like this ending. If it would have been the series finale, what else could they have done? I mean, I did want to know what happened to the Equalist organization after Amon's downfall, but I'm just gonna assume that after he was exposed, they disbanded. But still, I mean, the fight for equality just stopped. I don't really know what happened with that storyline, but apart from that, I really do think that they did the best that they could with what limited time they had and what limited episodes that they had to do what they wanted to do. Okay, so now time for the production behind book 2. Also, before I go into this, I just want to say that book 2 is my least favorite book, but that doesn't mean that it's bad by any means. It just didn't grasp me as much as the other books did. And I've noticed that this is the case for a lot of people with book 2 being their least favorite. I don't know what it is about it, it just like had a rocky start. I will say that about book 2, but without further ado, let's get into it. So, writing for book 2 had been completed in June 2012, and the book premiered in September 2013. An important thing to note here once again is that the creators thought that this would be the final season, as Nickelodeon did not order more episodes until late into the book's development. Also, an important thing to note is that each episode of every book takes about 10 to 12 months to animate. That is crazy. I mean, with all the drawing that the staff has to be doing and everything, it has to be shipped to Japan to get animated and everything. It makes the process behind the scenes more intricate and tedious. Like, I can tell, like, working on just one episode of a show for, like, basically a year. Like, that's crazy to think about. But anyway, let's talk some more about what was going on behind the scenes. The animation studio which worked on book 1, Studio Mer, had initially declined to work on book 2. This is why the animation style, in my opinion, looked a little less fluid. Instead, it was set to be animated by another animation studio, period. Studio Mer's animation director, Yoo Jae-myung, stated that they initially decided to focus on animating another less challenging series because of the exhaustion brought about by their work on The Legend of Korra. Ouch. I mean, it takes roughly 1,500 drawings per episode of Legend of Korra, and imagine all the animating and everything, so I can see where they're coming from, but at the same time, it's kinda wow. But like, good did come out of it, because eventually they did come around and decided to animate episodes 7, 8, and 10 through 14. Book 2 was broadcasted on September 13th, 2013, after a massive 1 year and 3-month hiatus from Book 1. Wow. In mid-October, its 7 p.m. time slot got shifted to an 8 p.m. time slot, and for the final 2 episodes of the season, instead of being broadcasted on November 22nd, 2013, as originally planned, they instead chose to air them online a week earlier. Now, listen, I'm a very open-minded person, and thankfully I watched the series in 2016, so I didn't have to wait and everything. But seriously though, as a kid, I really don't understand like how anyone would want to put up with this sporadic schedule. I mean, like, I can only imagine what fans went through during this period. I didn't go through it once again because I watched it in 2016, but just like seeing all this information, it really honestly gets me ticked off. I mean, people were bound to be put off with this sporadic schedule, and I wouldn't be surprised if even a few people lost interest overall. And by the way, the fun doesn't stop there, because after book 2 ended, Nickelodeon renewed the series for 2 more books. Finally, cohesion, 2 more books, we finally got it. But the downside to that is Nickelodeon shortened the renewed episode screen time, which is why the intro was basically non-existent.
Only the Avatar can master all 4 elements and bring balance to the world.
Okay, so the next few things that I'm going to state aren't really production issues as much as just Nickelodeon nonsense, I guess you could call it. Okay, so on June 8th, 2014, episodes 3 to 6 of book 3 were leaked online by the Mexican Nickelodeon website. The first episode of this book was supposed to air on June 27th. Ooh. On August 7th, 2014, the 10th episode of book 3 was unfortunately leaked as well. That whole situation was really messy, and I'm honestly sorry that the crew had to deal with that. Wow. Whew. The final 5 episodes of this book would be moved online, including Nickelodeon's website. I'm just wondering that maybe Nickelodeon moved the final episodes online because they were too, I guess you could say, dark for kids. Like, I don't know, but The Legend of Korra is definitely not a kid's show, so I wouldn't be surprised if Nick was scared about angry parents on the phone. I mean, looking in hindsight, I kinda wish it had aired on another network. I mean, don't get me wrong, Nickelodeon has provided me with a lot of enjoyment in my life, but I don't think it should claim The Legend of Korra after the treatment it got. I mean, the idea of restraining Korra in chains in the finale was shot down initially by Nick, but after Brian Konietzko complained about seeing a shot of SpongeBob similarly restrained, they gave them the okay. It's just things like that. There was so much potential this series had, and I'm sad to hear people just like completely crap on it and everything, and just say how this series is an embarrassment, and that, I don't know, just a lot of negativity unfortunately comes from this series. And knowing what the creators had to go through behind the scenes from start to finish, like, it's kind of crazy. And imagine how people are just crapping on their work when they put so much thought and effort into this. Like, it's really, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't even finished in book 3. I mean, in book 4, Nickelodeon completely put book 4 online. I guess that's okay, but then they completely wanted to cut the budget of 1 episode. That's why they had to put the clip show instead of having a remembrance episode like in Atla. But like, the creators either had to do the clip show or fire the staff. And the fact that they didn't fire the staff and have the clip show and people just hate on it constantly, it's just really ridiculous. Like, one thing I never did with this series was compare it to Avatar: The Last Airbender. I don't know why, I just went in with a clean slate, and I realized that if you do compare it to Avatar: The Last Airbender, you will be disappointed, because in Atla, from the beginning, the stakes were always much higher compared to The Legend of Korra. But the comparison, I just don't do it because it's just not it. I get that you may not like the show or anything, but it's sad to think that we live in a society where if you don't like something, you automatically have to shit on it and completely disregard it. And hey, I'm all for expressing yourself and your opinion, but some people just take it way too far when it comes to this show. Okay, so as we delve into the story and the characters, there are some things that I want to talk about in regards to book 1. I mean, while the story did feel concise of some sort, I won't deny that there are some things that I wish were different. Speaking of which, I do wish that the love triangle really didn't exist, but I do understand why they did what they did. Since Avatar: The Last Airbender premiered in 2005, and The Legend of Korra premiered 7 years after that, the target audience of the network, would have been in their teens by now, or late teens at least. And so I guess they tried to appeal to what some teens may be going through in their lives at that time when it comes to relationships. I mean, I don't blame them for trying, it's just, it wasn't really necessary to me. Like, I don't know, let me know what you think. Did you care for the love triangle? Did you, well, can I even call it a triangle? Kind of like a quadra. I'll put up a diagram, I have no idea, but yeah. But apart from that, I do love everything about book 1. It's tied with book 4 as my favorite of the, well, second favorite of the Legend of Korra books. I just love the mature tone that this season had. I loved Amon as a villain, and I love meeting all the new characters, and I also really loved how strong Korra was and how she was always ready to fight, but I'll talk about her more in a bit later. When it comes on to book 2, I don't know. I know I may be just nitpicking here, but the animation at first was really like jarring to me. I don't know, I just really didn't adjust to it well. Also, it was off to a rocky start. I did find the first, I guess, 5 episodes to be pretty boring. I don't know, I just really didn't like it. I didn't like them. Mark you, as it progressed, it did get considerably better. I mean, I may be just making excuses, but maybe it's because of the fact that they didn't know that there would be more story to tell, that at first they didn't really know what they wanted to tell. I mean, one of the major things that they worked on this season is Korra connecting more with her spirituality, which is something that she didn't really connect with in the first one. So maybe that's the thing, that's the case, and as the book progressed, it started to take shape of something that, or the story, I'm sorry, started to take shape of something that they could grasp, I guess you could say. Like, they got steady footing. Book 3 and 4, I absolutely love them from start to finish. I loved how book 4 tackled the PTSD, mental health, in a quote-unquote children's cartoon, which children's cartoon don't really usually do. So I applaud them for taking that leap. Okay, so the final thing that I would like to talk about in regards to the story and the characters, well, this is mainly going to focus on the story, is the ending. And when I mean the ending, I want to talk about Korrasami. I know that a lot of people out there have said that it is so random, you know, they just want to be a part of this whole agenda, which I really honestly hate that term. Anyways, let me not even get into that. But, and this is a fun fact, but in his personal blog, Brian Konietzko wrote that he was actually already entertaining the idea of Korrasami getting together in the writer's room when they were writing book 1. But he revealed at first they didn't give it much thought or weight because they assumed that it was something they wouldn't get away with depicting on an animated kids network in the age of 2010. Now, there are so many other moments where I was like, I have a feeling that there's something going on here. I don't know if it's because I am a member of the community and I know my kind when I see my kind, but when they were driving together in the car, like, there was a twinge of,
what's going on with you two?
I literally remember getting excited.
Oh man, I can't, this can't be happening.
And I mean, if you think about it, like, it kind of makes sense. I mean, yeah, there was a little cattiness here and there at the beginning, mainly on Korra's part, of course.
Lovely to meet you. Mako told me so much about you.
Really? Because he hasn't mentioned you at all.
Well, they never really argued or anything like that. Like, they balance out each other well. I mean that literally. Like, Korra is the more, you know, physical and hands-on, while Asami is the more technical and, like, more the steady, calm, emotional one. I mean, at least at first, before book 4 Korra. But literally, the clothes that they are wearing, I know I may be reaching here, please don't come for me, but like, Korra mostly wears blue and white while Asami mostly wears black and red, and I just find it how, like, those two color palettes really are the opposites of each other. I mean, just look how good they look. I mean, like, I may be like fangaying too much, if that's a thing, but honestly, like, look how good these two look together. I won't deny that I do wish that we had gotten like a little more, but at the same time, I mean, I do understand that they did the best that they could do on the network that they were with. I mean, even one of the creators themselves admits that it's not much, but hopefully it's a start in the right direction. But and it was a start in the right direction. I mean, LGBTQ plus representation in quote-unquote children's cartoons has been so much more prevalent, and I'm really happy because of that, you know? Like, we deserve to be seen. So even if Korrasami isn't that much, I do applaud them, and I do really, really like them together. Also, if you want to see more about their relationship and more of the things that they go through in terms of like acceptance and stuff like that, definitely check out the comics, the Legend of Korra comics. They are so very good, and I really like them. Okay, so I'm just shaking thinking about the analysis part, but I will try my best at least to shed some light on Korra and why she is the way she is. Okay, so a lot of people are put off by her character, and I will admit that initially it was a little hard to adjust to her. I mean, she was very headstrong, she was very, you know, brash, ready to fight, and I was just like, wow. I do think there are numerous factors that contributes to why she is the way she is. Okay, so she knows she's the Avatar. She's known this basically all her life. She literally states it, as I've said before previously in the video. The first thing she says in the series is, "I'm the Avatar, you gotta deal with it!" And we also know that she was sheltered away her whole, well, up to the point in season 3, she was sheltered away. And we do find out that's because of Zahir and his crew. So when she finally gets the chance to embrace and live in the freedom that she's always wanted to live her whole life, and embrace the fact that she's the Avatar, she goes full in, you know. In her eyes, I'm sure she believed that the Avatar was a superhero that was meant to save and change the world, which I guess in some sorts it kind of is. She's so headstrong and brash because she wants to prove to the world that, hey, I'm here now, you don't have to worry. I'm your savior, I guess you could say. She became so wrapped up in being the Avatar that it became her identity. I mean, she likes to fight, she wants to fight, and she will fight even if she loses. I mean, throughout the series, she wants to live up to her Avatar status. And time again, when she falls, and Korra falls hard like many times, she realizes that she isn't the hero that she thought she was gonna be, and she feels like she's failing. I mean, moments that fully go into her character are more prevalent in book 2, and I really do appreciate for what they were trying to achieve. I mean, yes, in book 2 she was extremely, at least in the beginning, she was extremely like hot-headed and very unbearable, but I do realize why that's happening. I mean, when we first see her, she's in a race with the other airbending children, and she uses the Avatar state to win. I mean, in her head, she's the Avatar, she has this power, she should be able to use it to get to what she wants. But slowly but surely, as the spirits come into play and everything, she doesn't know what to do. She needs help. She needs someone to tell her what to do. So when Mako really doesn't help or anything, she gets frustrated, as well as Tenzin. He keeps telling her that she's doing things wrong, that she's not getting it. She gets frustrated because, hey, she's the Avatar, she's supposed to make these tough choices, but what choice could she make? Because she honestly doesn't know what to do. That's why when the one person shows faith in her, even though it was for the wrong reasons, she dives fully in. However, by seeing the story of Avatar Wan, she's able to discover what the Avatar is, as well as what their role to humanity is. Learning this, she desperately tries to stop her uncle from destroying the world. However, it did come at an awful price. After putting up a tough fight with her uncle, unfortunately Korra loses her connections to the past avatars. This is no doubt a huge slap in the face to her because a part of her identity, the identity that she wants to embrace, has been taken away from her. Also, there is something that I wanted to comment on what I've noticed, but I don't know if they did this intentionally, but I do find it kind of ironic how Tlok, being a waterbender, putting out Wan, a firebender, well, native firebender's flame, as the avatar. I guess that's what I wanted to say. Yeah. Despite being brought to tears, Korra is still able to defeat Unavatu. However, in the battle I did notice something. When it comes to her spirituality, she's much more understanding and calming when she's telling the spirits to go in peace. She also makes the decision to keep the spirit portals open, and I just want to say that I love that she learned from her enemy in this case and took it into a positive, but she did not know the adverse effects that would have on the world. And once again, something else is Korra's fault, unfortunately. Good does come from this though, because of the spirit portals being open, it had the effect on the world of new airbenders emerging. She has made her first huge decision as the Avatar, but she soon comes to realize that these decisions that she's making are gonna have consequences and not everyone is gonna be happy. Once again, she feels as if she isn't living up to her status.
I don't blame them. I should be able to fix this. I'm the Avatar.
So much so that she tries to meditate. I mean, let me just say this, that book 1 and book 2, Korra would never to connect with her past lives for some sort of wisdom. I mean, even Tenzin is surprised.
You must be at the end of your rope. You hate meditating.
She states that she feels as if she should know more by now. When a civilian is trapped on the ledge of a bridge leading to the city, she tries to have a reasonable conversation with him calmingly. She takes responsibility for her actions, that it is her fault that he is scared, but she assures him that things will get better. I mean, just saying this once again, book 1 and book 2, Korra would never. She's starting to mature and she realizes now how much she is responsible for the world, and instead of getting mad when the president banishes her from Republic City, she looks at the positive of being able to travel and rebuild the Air Nation. Now, that's not to say that her extremely brash and hot-headed personality have completely gone away. It's much more calm, but there are a few moments where the old Korra still jumps out, and you know, that's really realistic. You know, we do learn, we do grow, but the old us is still in there kicking around sometimes. As the book progresses, she also tries to do things the right way. This is shown when she asks Zuko for advice, and also as well as when she makes the decision to sacrifice her life in order to save the people whom Team Zahir has hostage. I'm like so proud of her, but unfortunately her identity is put in jeopardy once again when Zahir captures and poisons her with the intention of killing her in the Avatar state. During this, she comes face to face with the doubts that she has been having within herself and her abilities. She survives, but unfortunately in the end she's completely broken, physically in her legs and mentally. She thinks she has failed, she's not good enough, she isn't who she thought she would be. And finally, that leads us into book 4. To say she's not doing well would be putting it lightly. She has learned how to walk again, but she's suffering from PTSD, and she has completely hid her avatar identity not just from others, but also from herself. She has completely changed her look, and something I would like to nod at is the fact that she's wearing Earth Kingdom clothing, and this is important because Guru Pathik stated that the Earth chakra deals with survival blocked by fear, which heavily applies to Korra's current state. I really do like how they did that, but moving on. She hides herself so that she doesn't have to fulfill her duties as the Avatar and risk making another enemy and getting hurt again. The fact that at one point she wanted to embrace that she was the Avatar is really heartbreaking to see how far she has fallen. She continually sees a hallucination of herself in the Avatar state and tries to travel in a means of escaping it. After her spirit leads her into a forest, Her hallucination begins to attack her and drags her into the poison that almost killed her. She awakens to find Toph, who, after some harsh criticism, I love Toph so much, lets her know that she still has bits of poison in her body after all this time, 3 years, which that is so honestly crazy to think about, and I wonder what effects that will have on her body in the long run. I don't know, but a heartwarming scene with the encouragement of Toph and her little, I like to call them siblings, for Korra, she bends the rest of the poison out of her body. As they travel back to Republic City, Milo is happy that there is going to be a fight. Korra calmly tells him that she isn't going back to fight Kuvira, and states that that would be something that the old her would have done. When I tell you about the level of growth, oh my gosh. But due to Kuvira's stubbornness, Korra ends up fighting Kuvira, and because of the PTSD, she loses. She decides to go and face Zahir in the hopes that she can get over the blockage that she has been having. In a tough conversation between the two, Korra reveals that she has limits, and Zahir reveals to her that she has all the power in the world and is afraid to use it, and that the Avatar's power is limitless. He helps guide her into the spirit world and helps her reconnect with her spirituality. She connects with Rava again. She slowly but surely regains confidence, but throughout all of this, the hot-headed and rash Korra that we knew from book 1 isn't here anymore. And in the final episode, instead of letting Kuvira die, she enters the Avatar state in order to save Kuvira. They both enter the spirit world through a new spirit portal that has been made from a combination of Korra and the spirit energy blast Kuvira attempted to use to kill her. Astonished by Korra's actions, Kuvira wonders why Korra saves her, and Korra comments to Kuvira that she sees a lot of herself in her. Tenzin states that Korra has changed the world more in a few years than most avatars have during their lifetime. Korra replies by saying that there is still so much more that she wants to learn and do, and that she had to go through what she went through in order to become more compassionate to others. Korra as a character is honestly one of the most relatable and human protagonists of an animated quote-unquote kids show I have ever seen. She learns that life isn't always how you imagined it to be. A role that she has always wanted to fulfill her whole life has almost been stripped away from her multiple times. She falls down many times, begins to doubt herself constantly, battles mental health issues, and somehow still manages to bounce back and be better in spite of everything that has happened to her. I mean, yes, she does make mistakes, but she does show regret and tries to be better the next time around. I mean, show me the perfect person or the perfect avatar. She may not be the best avatar, but at least she always tries her best, and I will always love and respect Korra for that. I mean, everyone is entitled to their own opinion, of course, and I'm not trying to change your mind about the show or her. I'm just asking you to be a bit more understanding. Yes, the show does have some problems, but it's nowhere as bad as some people are making it out to be. Asami was originally conceived to be an Equalist spy, but the creators began to like her so much that they rewrote her to be a friend of Korra and ignorant of her father's Equalist activities. The creators revealed that Mako was originally going to become romantically involved with Fire Lord Izumi's daughter, but decided against it because there were already way too many characters in book 4. You know how Korra and Aang are opposites? Well, I noticed even in their romantic relationships in the fact that Aang was the A and Katara was the K, but in Korra's case, she is the K and Asami is the A. And last but not least, Korra is confirmed to be a model. Okay, I'm obviously kidding, but seriously, just look at her.